The painting Watson and the Shark was painted by John Singleton Copley in 1778. So this is right about American Revolution. It was painted because a man named Brooke Watson hired Copley to paint this scene from early in his life. When Watson was a young man, he was swimming in a port in Havana when he was attacked by a shark. He actually went on to lose his leg in the attack, and later when he became an important London businessman, this scene of his life, this event in his life, became a prominent moment that he took a lot of pride in. In fact, even in his coat of arms that he had made later, one of the squares in the coat of arms is a severed leg. So he was very proud of having made it through this ordeal. One of the things that I find interesting in this painting is how it would contradict or at least argue with some of the tenets of the Puritan period. If you look at Watson, his hand is outstretched and his gaze is fixed on what in another painting you would probably identify as the divine source of hope. So here he is reaching out towards God to save him in his distress. The shark is so close that it's hard to tell exactly what God could do at this point to save him. And yet he's ignoring help that could come from his fellow man. There's a rope that's been thrown to him, and if you look carefully, the rope is draped over his arm. So clearly, if he wanted to, he could grab the rope and pull himself to safety. There's also two men that are hanging over the side of the boat, reaching their hand out to him. And again, if he had taken the help from those men, he could probably pull himself to safety. And the third source of help, which is the help that eventually got Watson out of danger, is the man at the front of the boat who's got a handheld harpoon that he's ready to drive into the shark. And so, in a moment like this, previous American artists in the Puritan period would have seen this as a celebration of Watson's faith. And I'm actually not so sure what Watson would have thought that it was depicting. But I personally see it as a mocking of that faith during a time when reliance on human beings and the aid of others would have been much more effective and appropriate in getting himself help. You know, there's an old joke that they tell, that priests tell as part of their homilies. A guy was on a desert island and he prayed very hard for God to come and get him off the island. So some dolphins came by and offered him a ride on their back, and he said, "No, don't worry, God's got it taken care of." Later, a helicopter came by and started to land on the island, and he waved the helicopter away, and he said, "Don't worry, God's got it taken care of." Finally, a cruise ship came by and offered to throw a rope, but he said, "Don't worry, God's got it taken care of." Later, the man died on the island, and when he got up to heaven, he talked to God, and he said, "God, I can't believe it. I had faith that you were going to rescue me." And God said, "What else did you want?" I said, "I sent dolphins, I sent a helicopter, I sent a cruise ship." So I think there's a similar message in here. This man's faith in God is causing him to reject the help of his fellow man. But the Age of Reason, which believed in the power of humanity to solve problems, in this painting I see it as a rejection of that age of the Puritan period, where, like, if you think of the painting of Mary Rowlandson, where she's raising her hands up to, I'm sorry, not Mary Rowlandson, the painting of Jane McCrea, who's reaching her hands up to ask God for protection from the Native Americans. In this painting, it's similar, and yet the audience, the viewer of the painting, knows that it's much more probable that if Watson is saved from the shark, he'll be saved by his fellow man. And so it's a rejection of the Puritan period, which is one of the ways we can tell that it's breaking free of that previous period of American art and falls more closely on the Age of Reason.